to 7-3. We're going to multiply and divide decimals. Our next lesson is order of operations. Today we're going to be able to multiply decimal numbers and divide decimal numbers. And we're going to estimate while we do that. So we need that word estimate. That's on page 5. All right, page 5, we need to add the word estimate on the bottom. So this is my ease, and we're adding an estimate on the bottom. Okay, so our academic definition would be like an approximation, which approximation means like a rough guess. Okay, so we're kind of guessing, but it's close to it. It's the right idea. It's not quite there. Okay, so for example, there are about 30 students in period 2. That's a rough guess. It's not exact. I know for sure there aren't exactly 30 students, but if I was going to guess, I would guess that there are about 30 students in period 2. Okay, so personal connection. When we make a rough guesses, we would use that when we buy groceries. We also estimate when we are, so when we buy groceries, we can estimate based on like a recipe, how much we need, but also when you pay for your money, you know that your crackers are about $5, your Gatorade is about $3, your cheese is about $4, so adding that all up, but do you have about the same amount? Okay, so we really use this for money a lot, and then we're going to use it to check answers today. Okay, so that's estimate. So in our building background, that's what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be estimating. So it says, estimate the following products, then check our answer using a calculator. So I'm going to make 34. I would estimate that I'm going to round it to about 30 times 25. Now, anytime I multiply with something with a 0, that means I'm going to have a 0 at the end. And then really I'm doing 3 times 25, which would be like 3/4. 3/4 is 75 cents. So that's my estimate, my estimation. Okay, and then the actual answer, if I use a calculator, if I do 34 times 25, I get 850. So it's off by about 100, but that wasn't that bad. It's pretty close. It's around the right idea. Okay, still got a big number, a big number. Okay, so number 2, I have 66 and 154. So 66, I'm going to round that to about 70. So I'm going to round that one up. 154, I'm going to keep that as about 150. So here I have 2 zeros, so I'm going to have 2 zeros in my answer. And then 7 times 15. So that'd be like 7 15-minute intervals, or 7 times 5 is 35. Carry the 3. So that's going to be about 10,500. So that's my estimation. Okay, my actual, I'm going to use my calculator and actually type in 66 times 154. And we get 10,164. 10,164. So a little off, but not bad. Pretty close. Okay, last one. This one we're going to do division. So I'm going to round 327 to about 300 divided by 156. Normally I would round that up to 160, but then I'm going to get a decimal. So I'm going to keep it as 150. So my estimation is actually going to be 2, because 300 divided by 150 is only 2. Okay, my actual, use my calculator, 327 divided by 156. It's 2.09615, so about 2.096, 2 and 96 thousandths. So that was actually really close. Okay, so here we go. The first example, we're going to multiply these. So first thing we're going to do is estimate our answer. So 4 and 9/10, that's really close to 5. So 5 times 6 and 82 hundredths, 8 would make this round up to close to 7. So 5 times 7 is 35. So I know my answer should be around 35. Okay, now I'm going to multiply using my calculator. So 4 and 9/10. I can use the parentheses if I want to. Parentheses 6 and 82 hundredths. Enter, and I get 33 and 418 thousandths. That's pretty close to 35. It's about 2 off, so not too far. So that should be right. So 33 and 418 thousandths. Now we just want to double check integer rules. So we had a positive times a positive, which does equal a positive. So that was right. Okay. Number 2, we're going to estimate the answer. So negative 8 and 9/10, that would be really close to about negative 9, times 7 and 9/10. That's really close to 8. So negative 9 times 8, 9 times 8 is 72. And a negative times positive would be negative. So my answer should be close to negative 72. So I'm going to use my calculator, negative 8 and 9/10 times 7 and 9/10. And I get negative 70 and 31 hundredths. That's pretty close. It's a negative 72. So negative 70 and 31 hundredths. Okay, I want to just double check my integer rules. So I have a negative times a positive. I have negative times a positive, that does equal a negative. So that would be a negative 70. Okay, number 3, negative 9 and 4/10. I'd round that down to about negative 9 times negative 3 and 163 thousandths. So this one tells me it's really close to negative 3. So negative 3. So that would be a positive 27. Okay, so we're going to use our calculator, negative 9 and 4/10 times negative 3 and 163 thousandths. And we get about 29 and 7,322 10,000ths. So that's actually pretty close. So we're going to say 29 and 7,322 thousandths. And then we're just double checking. It was a negative times a negative. And a negative times a negative. Whoops, that was an E. Equals a positive. So it should be a positive answer. Okay, back side. Now we're moving on to dividing. Okay, so we're first going to estimate. So negative 6 and 3/10 would be about negative 6 divided by. Now I'm going to just pick an easy number, 3 and 6/10. I would usually make that a 4, but I'm just going to say 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. So it should be somewhat near negative 2. Now I know that wasn't super accurate, so it's okay if it's a little bit further off. So I'm going to say negative 6 and 3/10 divided by 3 and 6/10. We get negative 1 and 75 hundredths. That's pretty close. Okay, and I can use checking the check using my integer rules. So negative divided by a positive is a negative. So it's going to stay a negative. Okay, 5. We have 0 and 3/10 divided by negative 1 and 5/10. So 0 and 3/10. That would be close, that's actually really close to 0, but we're going to always round up to 1. Divided by negative 1 and 5/10, that'd be about negative 2. So when I divide a small number divided by a big number, that'd be like 1 divided by 2, negative. So about negative half, which would be negative 0.5. Okay, because it's actually going to get smaller. So if I type that in my calculator, 0 and 3/10 divided by negative 1 and 5/10. Sorry, I don't have that on the screen. I get negative 0 and 2/10. So that's pretty close to negative 0 and 5/10. Okay, and just to double check, a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So we are good there on our answer. Our answer should be a negative. Okay, 2 more. Number 8. Okay, so negative 2 and 3/10 I would say is about negative 2 divided by 4 and 6/10. That would round up to 5. So as a fraction, that'd be negative 2 over 5, which, if I use my calculator, would be about negative 0 and 4/10. Okay, so now I'm going to actually use my calculator, see if I'm close to that. So negative 2 and 3/10 divided by 4 and 6/10. And we get negative 0 and 5/10. So that's pretty close. And then just to double check, a negative divided by a positive is a negative. Okay, number 7. So we're going to estimate our answer first. So again, we always round up, if it starts with a 0, we're always going to round up to 1. So 1 divided by, well, that would be about 1. So 1 divided by 1 is 1, but it was a negative. So she gets something around negative 1, but we'll see. So we have negative 0 and 8/10 divided by 0 and 34/100. We actually get -2, so this one's a little tricky. So we get -2 and 35,294 hundredths. So that one was actually tricky because it wasn't as close. Okay, so we're going to check our integer rules, and that would be a negative divided by a positive does equal a negative. Okay, to multiply and divide decimals, we can use our calculator. But we always want to use estimation to double check, because some students, when they type in their answers, they get something completely wrong, and you should be able to estimate it to know that something wasn't quite right. And that's it.